This meeting is now being recorded.
Hey everyone, welcome to the webinar. It's Andy. I'm glad to have you along today. And today we're going to be talking about chambers of commerce. Specifically, what's the value in meeting yet another banker or financial planner or mortgage broker? You know, the kind of people that flock to these Chamber of Commerce networking events. And it's interesting, years ago, a friend of mine was invited to a party. And after just a few minutes at the party, she approached the host, who was a friend of hers, and said, "Is there a theme to this party?" Because everyone she had talked to so far had the same answer when she asked, "What do you do?" They were all doctors, obstetricians, actually. She was the only non-doctor in the room. And I know from experience the chamber networking events can feel the same way. Banker, financial planner, banker, mortgage broker, and you. It can really make you feel like you're wasting your time, except that you're not by a long shot. So what value is there in a swarm of financial planners? Plenty. I waded into these waters 9 years ago, the day I walked into the Cambridge Chamber of Commerce to sell them window cleaners. I walked out with a new customer and a chamber membership. And 9 years later, some of the people that I met that first year in that chamber are responsible now for over $78,000 of referrals to my business each year. And they've become friends. And one of them is even a banker. So where does it begin? What's the approach? Because I wasn't just sitting around for those 9 years. I was actively working the chamber, working to get those relationships going. And so how do you turn that first chamber event into lasting and profitable business relationships? Today we're going to talk about 3 ways that you can maximize your chamber membership. And the three techniques we're talking about today are mooch, stalk, and switch. And so we're going to go into each of these in turn. Let's start with mooch. And when I announced this webinar, I got a lot of interest in the webinar. People seem to be very excited about this program. And I also got a question that kept popping up. So should I go ahead and join a chamber? If you're talking about chambers, like part of a chamber, should I just jump in and get started? And so hang on a second. There's no need to pull out your credit card just yet. And first, what I recommend is to do a little mooching. You can always attend a chamber event as a guest. And if you call up and say you're considering joining the chamber, they'll probably even comp you, and you may not be able to have a guest price for attending, but if you say that you're considering membership, they'll probably just go ahead and comp you in. And even better, you already may know someone who belongs to that chamber. So what I'm going to share now is a very specific and powerful tip for using LinkedIn in any sort of networking thing that you're doing. But what I recommend, here's a search I did yesterday on my LinkedIn for the Cambridge Chamber of Commerce. And you'll see that the first person on the list is Kelly, who runs the Chamber of Commerce. You know, again, I've been working with them for almost a decade, and so I know them a lot. I know Kelly very well. There's a lot of people. There's one other person there who works at the chamber, right? Who's in my network. And the interesting thing is down at the bottom is that guy Mike, and also a first connection of mine. And Mike's an interesting story because I've known him for all 9 years. He was one of the first people that I met when I started with the Chamber of Commerce. And when I met him, I was a single guy renting a 1-bedroom apartment in Arlington. But in the past 3 years, I've now gotten married. I have 2 kids. I live out in the burbs. And so in the past 3 years, he's handled 4 moves for me and my family, including a rather complicated move of bringing my father-in-law, half up here and half to the other sister's house. Like, he just did there's a lot of logistics to the move, which was very helpful. And I will say that on the very first move he helped me with, the scheduling got all screwed up. The guys showed up, the right crew showed up, but with the wrong truck, and we were on a kind of tight window deadline. And I can't tell you how wonderful it is to know the owner. When it showed up and I started being screwed up, I just called Mike. I said, "Hey, Mike, these guys are here, but didn't we have this other plan? Like, they brought a truck. I thought we had this other plan." He's like, "Oh my goodness." He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "I'm going to kill my ops guy," and off he goes, and he got it fixed. And it's the kind of thing that's, when I first met Mike, I had no use whatsoever for moving, but I got to know him. And Mike wasn't expecting me to be a customer. We were just getting to know each other and, helping each other out. But when it came time to move, there was no question. I didn't talk to anyone else. And honestly, after that first experience with him where, being able to call him got everything fixed, I'll use him every time. I mean, there's no reason for me to go anywhere else. And so that's just a particular example of somebody that I met at the chamber, and it's turned into that thing. Like for him, initially it may not have looked like I was a great customer for him. When he first met me, you might have had the sense that, well, why would I network with this guy? But we actually share in Town Day in Arlington, where both our businesses are based. We actually share a booth. We do a lot of networking. We do a lot of networking together. We pass referrals back and forth. Like I've referred a bunch. Just those 4 moves are just my family's, and I've referred a bunch of other people to him as well. And so that's the kind of thing. That's how the chamber membership can grow. I kind of recommend anytime you're thinking, oh, how can I get to this person? Just pull up LinkedIn. And to me, it's a great first step if you're looking at a chamber of commerce. And part of what we do each week is we talk about ways you can get started. And so the next step, what we're talking about here, the mooching, the next step is to look for connections, because the connection can also be